This billionaire just accelerated Bitcoin's bull run and the supply shock, but he did it in multiple ways, some of which may surprise you, some of which the Giga Chad Michael Saylor just continues to do every single week. And to start it all off, we all know Michael Saylor and strategy, the Giga Chad. He keeps just buying Bitcoin, loading up literally every single week. It's like clockwork, folks. Every Monday, we have Michael Saylor putting out one of these tweets. But I think the unique aspect of this one here is that he's been buying small $1 million amounts. This time, they raised up over $1 billion without diluting any stock whatsoever. But why do I think that this means we're going to 1 million Bitcoin? Well, it's not just me, bullish green candle, saying all these things. It's Murray, A. Rudd, and Dennis Porter saying that, hey, Bitcoin is expected to reach around 440,000 by June 2026 and 1 million by by early 2027. Excuse me. The reality is, why do they think that? Well, because there's some simple supply and demand economics. Well, what are we seeing? We're seeing the amount of Bitcoin taken off exchanges accelerate. This chart, for those of you who have been coming here pretty frequently lately, know that I'm loving it because the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges just keeps going lower and lower and lower, where we are just over 2 million Bitcoin on exchanges as it stands today. So why is that significant? Well, there's just a shortage of Bitcoin being mined at this point, and we have Michael Saylor and MSTR copycats popping up literally everywhere. I mean, it's crazy. You can't make this up. We've got so much stuff, so much buying going on. It's the new craze. I mean, we've got my this tweet from my friend over here, Luke Mikic, the guy with the crazy haircut, showing that the amount of Bitcoin that Michael Saylor bought with about 450 mined every single day, that's literally 22 days worth of supply just by a single company. On top of that, we have Metaplanet doing something very similar, buying 1,112 Bitcoin for 172 million. That's over 2 days of supply just there. So between those two, we nearly got a month. But the interesting thing is that AP News and mainstream media is now starting to pick up on this strategy. They're calling it, quote, crypto's hottest new trend, publicly traded companies buying bunches of Bitcoin. So the reality is that Saylor's strategy has now gone mainstream. Everybody and their mother is talking about it. They all know, hey, we need to put Bitcoin on our balance sheet because cash is trash. Everybody was saying cash is king a couple years ago with the whole cerveza sickness that everybody went through with these companies losing out on all of their dollars. But the reality is now everybody's realizing, hey, I need to be putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet or I'm going to be falling behind. I mean, look at this. If I was covering this a year ago, we'd see the publicly traded number well under 40. Now we see it at over 130. That's literally 3x in less than a year. And then we see public or private companies announcing this. They have no need to necessarily promote that they're buying Bitcoin, but we have that happening. The crazy thing is, it's even scooped up into the real estate market. I mean, look at this. We had Grant Cardone. I've had Gary on this show, friend of the program. Grant Cardone announced this literally right before I went live, so I had to include it. That Cardone Capital is distributing $20 million to investors in June and adds another 120 Bitcoin on its balance sheet. So even private companies run by a real estate mogul that has allegedly one of the most stable assets on the planet that's distributing from just strictly cash flow is using some of that leftover money to buy Bitcoin right now as it stands. So we have that. We have other companies, plenty of them that you and I probably have not heard of that are raising to buy Bitcoin. DDC Enterprises, to be honest with you, I had no idea what they did before I started doing this right before. They raised 26 million pipe, 300 million convertible notes, 200 million equity line, and a 2 million equity from private placement. for 528 million of funding to accelerate its Bitcoin treasury strategy. So they already started doing this Bitcoin treasury strategy. They just really wanted to speed things up. They saw Bitcoin's price skyrocket in flight, and they're like, we got to scoop some of this trash up real quick. I don't know why I said trash, but I was gonna swear. I know this is a kid show, so can't be doing that here. And then we also have this company, Vivan BTC. It's a London Bitcoin company on the London Stock Exchange that has raised 3.5 million pounds to expand its Bitcoin treasury. Look, all I know is if it's GBP, the price goes up when it's in USD. So the pound's worth a little bit more than the dollar. So I imagine this is just under $4 million for the Bitcoin treasury. So all of this is accelerating. And I've been sharing this for a while that Wells Fargo, one of the biggest banks on the planet, is seeing a rise in this. So it's not just me and all of these people in the Bitcoin space saying this. We now have AP News, one of the biggest media outlets in the entire world, the globe, covering this. We have Wells Fargo, a top 20 bank in the world, literally coming out and saying the unsung hero, the most unappreciated story of Bitcoin in 2025 is that it's tapping in to the $300 trillion bond market. Look, that's a stat from Wells Fargo. I tried to look it up to see if I could find it at $300 trillion mark. But the global bond market, according to Google's AI over here, is only 135 trillion. Either way, we are seeing Bitcoin absolutely take off. And who do we have to blame? The guy, Michael Saylor, because he's unlocked this MSTR flywheel that I love to show. And I honestly don't even think that this covers all of it, because the strategies that they've been using are just essentially becoming more and more complex. But in reality, all he's doing is just this right here. He's issuing debt to buy more Bitcoin. The Bitcoin price is increasing. The MSTR market cap is increasing. Then he's issuing more equity or just getting some more convertible notes. Bitcoin price, market cap, the weight in the indices, they all keep increasing. And the reality is that, we're seeing this from my friend Punter Jeff. He said every $100,000 increase in Bitcoin, MSTR makes $59.2 billion. And that's just as it stands today. So the reality of this whole situation is that the more Bitcoin goes up and the more that MSTR keeps buying, that growth is just going to be exponential. So a 10x growth in Bitcoin, or just under that right now as it stands, you see a $59 billion increase just to their, quote, cash reserves on MSTR. So as long as they're able to continue buying more Bitcoin, continue to raise debt to buy more Bitcoin, we're going to see more of these corporations start to copy it. The problem is that all of these guys, they just were too late to the game. Look at this. They are starting to buy more and more Bitcoin. And you all see all these charts here. MSTR, Marathon. Okay. Well, now we've got 21. Look at this. Just straight up to the right. Riot, CleanSpark, Tesla. Tesla is one of the one bears that is selling. But we've got Metaplanet. We've got all of these starting to move up and buy more and more Bitcoin. These charts look like Bitcoin's chart where it's up and to the right, skyrocketing in flight, as I love to say here on this show. But we've got Bitcoin just fallen oh so slightly by $1,000 here. 1.2 thousand here at 105 because of, some various geopolitical factors that we have going on today. But the reality of the situation is that it's just a matter of time. I mean, Dennis Porter and Satoshi Action Fund talked about this not too long ago. They issued this prior to this date of June 15th. I remember going over this earlier this year where they were talking about the projections of Bitcoin going to $1 million in 2027. The reality is this might have accelerated this just because of the amount of buying that we're seeing. And this chart here, where we're seeing the amount of Bitcoin going off exchanges at a drastic rate. Now, I'm going to help you guys and get some of your Bitcoin off an exchange, or just give you some Bitcoin that you don't need to keep on an exchange, thanks to my friends over at the Bitcoin Well. You could go to bitcoinwell.com/greencandle. You could do exactly what I'm doing here. As soon as you sign up, you're going to get 500 Wishing Well tokens. Then, once you buy Bitcoin, you're going to get 500 more Wishing Well tokens. That's 2 chances for you to win 1 million sats. So get your Lightning wallets ready, as we will be giving you some free sats courtesy of my friends over at the Bitcoin Well. So let's see what we got here. Not going to lie to you guys, my internet's a little shoddy, so hopefully it goes through. But while we're waiting for it, boom, 504 sats straight to the dome piece. Make sure you guys are smoking that like Cheech and Chong, and hitting that subscribe button with the bell notifications so you guys know when I'm ripping and rolling and ready to give you guys some free sats. But if you missed this, if you're one of those guys that got out their Lightning wallets a little bit slow here, you could go to bitcoinwell.com/greencandle. You can go sign up today. I encourage you guys to do that ASAP like Rocky. And if you got 50K just sitting here waiting, what are you doing? 1. But 2, unload that dry powder utilizing their OTC desk here at Bitcoin Well Infinite. You could just go to that page, scroll on down, book a call ASAP. And don't forget, you got to put it in cold storage, folks. You got to get a Bitbox. Go to bitbox.swiss. You could get the O2. I prefer the Bitcoin only edition, but look, I know if you've dabbled in a little, altcoins here or there, they've got that solution for you too. I just say buy Bitcoin, Bitcoin only. Either way, you can use promo code GreenCandle. You could get all that, Steel Wallet and all, and get your Bitcoin off an exchange faster than I could do this entire live stream. I'll tell you that much. All right. Well, what else do we have here? I hinted at it at the start. We've got some of the most bullish news that I've seen as well.